And welcome back to the Create Studios podcast. I'm your host with the most, Jordan Moed.
And I'm Kevin Rizer.
And this is going to be the official season 1 wrap-up episode. Kevin and I, as you know, are the hosts of the Create Studios podcast, and we just wanted to take a deep dive into season 1 and really talk about, some of the best podcast guests we had, some of the highs, the lows, and everything in between. This is for all the fans out there who's been following us since the first episode, and hopefully you guys have learned a little bit along the way. Did you say so?
Yeah, I would say, I personally learned a lot. There's a lot of things I didn't know, about the industry. You had some guitar techs on there. We've had singer-songwriters on there, as well as some people that are on the business side of the industry as well. So,
and what I liked about the first season, obviously, for people who don't know, Create Studios has just opened up this year. Like, we opened up in June, and this idea was actually brought to us by the founder, John Phelps, who runs Full Sail University, also is the founder of Create It. And he wanted to be able to give a way for a podcast where professionals who are trying to work their way to the next step have a way to get real information, get behind the scenes, and not get the, how did you get your first Grammy? It's like, no, what got you to where you were today? What was the road look like? What's the real transparency of that? And that's, I hope you guys learned a little bit about that along the way.
That's right. And, I thought it was pretty great, like I said, that we were able to share some of those personal experiences from those artists as well with some of our listeners. A lot of you guys out there may have experience, but some of you don't. And I just thought that was really special.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite episodes that we had this year on the Create Studios podcast, obviously we got to record a lot of our friends, which was really cool, and being able to really dive deep into it. But one of my personal favorites was Kyle McLaughlin. For many of you who listened to the episode, Kyle is obviously an absolute juggernaut in the photo industry. He's worked with, Gibson guitars. He's worked with Victoria's Secret, Kirkland's, all these companies. And what I thought was so fascinating about that episode was this is a guy that, he started from the very, very bottom as a nobody in the industry, and he just showcased what hard work would take to get you where you want to go, and doing quality work along the way, how far that goes,
Yeah, absolutely. And same thing goes with, building relationships in the industry.
Yeah.
It was a common subject that came up with all of our, all of our guests. I feel like that's obviously one of the most important things in the industry. Especially, sometimes things, happen in the industry, and, we may lose a job, or maybe we, switch our idea of what we want to do, like what we feel like is right for us. So, and then just having those relationships to fall back on. I mean, we have a pretty good relationship here at the studio. But yeah, bringing some of our own personal guests on, I even learned some things about Frankie C, that I didn't know before.
That was a killer episode too, man. It really was. What I liked about it too is, as a guy who works in film and sync music and things like that, she was so spot on so much. And that world can be so confusing for people who have no idea what's going on with that, right? And to be able to break it down to such a very minimum and bare bones level, I mean, you can't find that.
Right, exactly.
So,
go ahead.
No, sorry, I'm not trying to talk over you, but no, one thing I wanted to ask you, Kevin, obviously, this was our first time, doing this podcast, and that was your first time hosting a podcast.
Yes.
What was your experience like when you started diving into this with us, and you're like, hey, I want to host this, I want to help, and you became the co-host of the show? Obviously, for a couple episodes, we had Andrew, who's our studio director here at Create It. He did a couple episodes, but what was it like for you to be in the host chair for the first time?
Well, luckily, I had someone to look up to.
I'll stop it.
So I was a bit nervous. You start to forget some things when you're behind the camera, such as, saying your ums and uhs and likes. And I do say that a lot, but now I'm trying to get better at that and sound a little more professional. So that was one experience. Another one was just learning to relax a little bit. Learning to relax, and just, these are normal everyday people. So just having a discussion with them and just really like being interested. That was a big deal.
The one thing I noticed when we were doing the later episodes in the season was when we had like the Zach Allens, the Chris Tomlinsons, and stuff like that who came onto the podcast. I remember getting those bios and like having to dive into who they were, not even know who they were at the beginning, but then instantly getting that like, oh my goodness, these guys are like legit big deal guys. And you hear their stories, and like the one thing I like when I get a little nervous, I'll start getting a little chatty. And I was like, no, we're gonna calm ourselves down. We're gonna let them talk, and we're just gonna listen. And like, I just thought it was really cool to hear, true, genuine stories of, hey, look, we're just everyday guys who just got the opportunity to go to work and do some really cool stuff. And
Mhm.
I think that's something that more people need to see in, not even the music industry, but the video industry. Like when we had Daniel Howell, Black Owl Media on here and stuff. It's like everyone starts from somewhere, but it's all about how you're getting better every day, and it's all about how you're networking, like you mentioned, and how you're built. Like, you're never giving up. Like that's the one thing I got from season one is every single person that we had on here interviewed never gave up. Never had a
That's right.
story of like I was done, I was out, and that's it. Something drew them back in. Something kept them going, even through all the hard times. I mean, most of the episodes you heard, they didn't have a dollar to their name at some points.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
I thought that was such a cool thing to see was that real hardcore concrete. This is a true success story, and like you probably don't even know their names. And
Right.
that to me, I thought was such a really cool thing.
Yeah, I thought it was really special to not only like get to hear like their progression in the industry, but that sometimes you think things will work out in a linear kind of way, and in this industry, you tend to bounce around a good amount.
Oh yeah.
I know, you've done everything from engineering to sync music to having your own band, like lead vocals, like, I've done stuff on the live sound side as well as in the studio. And now I'm learning a little bit about dance music, so that's been really fun.
And little do
But,
they know that we have a collab in the works.
woo, yeah, that's
um,
right.
but the
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to ask you too, Kevin, was because like obviously, with Create It being so new, and then this podcast, like, what was the one thing that you can say out of doing this first season that really you found a lot of enjoyment in?
I would say, um, honestly, we talked about the relationships thing, right? And to be honest, I think just getting to know a lot of these people and, um, how they got to where they are, right? I thought that was really special to me, because you don't really get to hear that every day in the industry.
Yeah.
The industry, we're all pretty busy people,
Oh yeah.
so to get someone to sit down and be like, hey, this is my story, that was a really special and unique thing.
I like the fact that we had so many diverse, from diverse media outlets. Like we had the
Absolutely.
episode with Hannah and Zach Pippins, who were like AI mong, like they own an empire in AI. We had that. We had the photographers like Kyle, and we had Black Owl Media. Then we had the video guys. We had genuine rock stars on this thing, and like I loved just the diversity. So I love the fact that we were able to touch so many parts of the entertainment industry and even to the professional side, like
Mhm.
having Becca Bishop on here
Right.
talking
Yep.
about how she works in marketing and like
Mhm.
in that. And then we had, Chris Martinyago who talked
Mhm.
about A&R. And that was one of
That's
my
right.
favorite episodes because Chris, for maybe people who don't know, we had so many problems shooting that episode
Yeah.
because every 5 minutes our cameras were dying because we had shot 6 episodes that day, and
Yep.
it was overheating like crazy, and it was so funny.
Mhm.
So like we had to reshoot that intro 6 times, and like
Mhm.
I promised you, Chris, it's normally not like this. We're really professional. He was
Right.
so cool though, and like what I think was really fun about that one too, besides him being such a good guy to talk to, and he was so open, was kind of turned my brain off of being like a studio manager here, and I was
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna ask you questions that I want to know.
Yeah.
Like, what are
Right.
things that have always interested me about A&R? And like, I remember
Mhm.
asking that question when you're sitting down at your computer and you're looking at an artist and you're like, I'm gonna sign that.
Mhm.
What makes that? And
Right.
that to me is what makes the Creative Studios podcast such an interesting thing because I know there are other podcasts out there that do stuff similar to this, but like that, I have not listened to a podcast where people dive deep and go, no, let's just talk about the things that nobody wants to bring up because
That's
it's
right.
like the
Yeah.
hidden secrets of the industry.
Mhm.
But that's what I hope people, who watch this the show and, and followed us, like you guys picked up on that too. Cause, even though we work here and stuff, we're still growing and we're
Right.
still, as professionals in our career. And well, we have the same questions. And, one thing I do want to mention is that if you guys have, you know, anyone out there who watches our shows, Kevin and I, we work very hard to make sure that this show looks fantastic. We always want to make sure that we're getting the right guests. But if there's a certain part of the industry or somebody that you're thinking of personally that you think, you know what, I'd love to have them. I'd love to hear you guys interview him or her. Shoot us a message. Be like, hey, you guys should go talk with this guy. Go talk with her. Let us know. We want to know what you guys want to see on the show because you guys are the ones watching it, and we will bring it to you as best as we can.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I know we're rounding the end here, but I wanted to ask you, Kevin, what are you most excited about for season 2 of the Creative Stews podcast?
I'm excited to definitely hear some different sides of the industry that maybe we haven't covered yet. So maybe get a couple more like live, musicians, some bands, some things like that.
That'd be
Maybe add more than just, one or two guests and have a band in there would be pretty crazy.
Dude, let's get like a really cool band in there and like
Yeah.
just oh my goodness, I would be so excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to get some more like, label guys in here too, like
Yes.
or girls. I keep saying guys, it's just general, but no, I agree with you. Like I think like for me, season 2, I'm more excited about what we're trying to incorporate. Like we're trying to do
Yes,
some
yeah.
different shots, make it a little more interesting, but like I really want to see what this product's going to look like because this was just us testing the waters for this
That's right.
podcast, and now that we know we're developing this fan base, we want to make sure it gets better every season.
That's right. We're trying to streamline this process. So, all those issues we had at the beginning, those are becoming less and less as we go on and also get better equipment and things like that and just kind of figure out more like creative ways, to shoot these podcasts. So,
Absolutely, especially with One Xeno, the video games
Mhm.
place that's just opened up right over the way. Like we'd love to incorporate. Maybe we can get some more video game guys in here because we did have
yes.
Stu Westfall on
Mhm.
this series. I'd love to get more. Maybe we can get some more of those guys in here, and then obviously with the one and only Future Bean, sponsoring us. We love them to death. Shout out to Future Bean. Move over, Duncan. There's a new coffee in town. Had
That's
to get
right.
it in there. But I think it'd be really fun, to do a podcast where we could do like a walking style podcast where we start at Future Bean. We could talk a little bit about some fun stuff. We go to One Xeno to talk some things,
Oh, yeah.
and then end up in the studio or something. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to think about there, but thinking about it now, like, can you believe that there was 22 episodes in this first season? Isn't that crazy? How fast that went?
Wow, that went very quickly.
Yeah.
And you shot what, like 6 of them back to back at one point. That was impressive.
It was fun, man. Like, I remember when Andrew came up and he was like, "Hey man, so we're gonna shoot all these at once in one day. How do you feel about that?" I'm like, I just get to sit down and talk with people. Sure. Like,
Can I get a bottle of water?
yeah, I just need a bottle of water, man. Maybe 2 or 3, but
Yeah.
no, I actually had a great time because the one thing though, I think the one thing that was crazy because they were so back to back to back. I had all the papers next to me, so I pick one up and I go, "That's who you are." Okay. Hi, nice to meet you. And then who's that? Okay. Hey, what's going on? And it was cool because like those episodes end up kind of be almost like me getting to know them, and it was
Right.
like, and I hope you guys kind of felt the same way. It was like that was a real natural way to understand what people do.
Yeah, and I get to edit, we both get to
Yeah.
edit a lot of these podcasts, so I hear some of the same things over and over sometimes. And like I said, it was extremely good practice to listen to your like flow. You're kind of a natural at this. So.
I will say though, I can't believe out of our first season we only got one Meet the Crew episode.
Oh, I've been talking about that. We need a, yep.
We got to get Diego in here. 'Cause,
Yeah, that's right.
and we got to get Diego in here to do a Meet the Crew season 2 because I like that episode because I think the one thing people tend to forget, like, we work here and stuff like that, but we also have some cool stories to share as well. And
That's right.
and hopefully maybe in season 2 we can showcase some other people who work here at the studio. Like we have maybe Johnny or
That's right.
stuff like
Shout
that.
out to both of them, by the way.
Yeah.
Like they work very hard as well as both of us.
2 guys who
podcast.
work the hardest here next to us, Johnny and Diego. They're absolutely killer what they do, and we couldn't do this without them. And but yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I just keep kind of reflecting on season 1 as like there was so much learned, and I'm sure everyone who's watching this can agree with me here. It's almost like you missed a lot of it because there was so much going on. So like while we might be absent for a little bit, getting ready to launch season 2, go back and rewatch those episodes, because even if you didn't pick it up the first time, there's going to be some other things that you're probably like, oh my goodness, I didn't get that first time. I didn't get that the second time. Or maybe you have a friend who needs to hear something because they're ready to give up on their dreams and things like that. Let them hear this. Let them share it with them, show it. And but yeah, I guess that'd be a good point to kind of end that on. I think that's a good spot, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, guys, we just want to say thank you so very much for joining us for an epic first season of the Creative Studios podcast. Kevin and I couldn't have been more grateful and honored to be your hosts with the most. And shout out to FUTUREBEAN for sponsoring the podcast. And if you guys ever want to come in and see where we shoot the podcast, we're available every day from 11 to 10 at the Walmart in Franklin off Mallory Lane. As well to that, you can come and book studio sessions anytime as well. And again, we'll be back in 2026 with season 2 of the Creative Studios podcast. But for Kevin and I, my name is Jordan, and we'll see you next time.
Happy holidays.
Oh yeah, happy holidays.